Okay, guys, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come to this webinar. Today, we're going to discuss past tools for service providers and our partnership with Insite360. Past tools is a product that we created about 6 years ago, and as the changes to the regulations have kind of started to appear from the 2015 update, past tools is something that just kind of is becoming more and more relevant and more sought after. We're seeing a lot of success with it, and we're pretty proud of the product. So we're going to get started. Right now, it looks like we're at 24 participants out of the 40, so that's a pretty good turnout, and I appreciate you guys being here. So let's get started with past tools for service providers, and we'll just kind of step through this demo. Who is PASS? A lot of you guys know who we are. You've seen us out there before in the operator training realm. PASS started actually in 2003 when they were first started working with the Energy Policy Act of 2005. PASS created operator training, and we were one of the first in the country to do so. We did it in an innovative way with our software background that we have. We came out and developed an online cloud-based learning management system and a really easy to use structure, leveraged a lot of service providers and gave a way for them to resell the training. And right now we're the largest provider of operator training in the country. And that put us in a unique position to be able to understand the rules and regulations in each state. We have to seek approvals for our training and work with the regulators hand in hand. So we decided that maybe we needed to give these operators we were training some more tools, some more the ability to track what they're doing and what we're teaching them. So we created past tools for companies. And past tools for companies is a very similar platform to this. It's a part of the past tools platform. It sells directly to the retailers, and Insite360 delivers that product to the market. And we'll get into our partnership with Insite360. We also have a second version of past tools. It's a part of the platform. So the two versions, past tools for companies and past tools for service providers. And the service providers is what we're demoing today. It's geared towards service companies that supply environmental services, monthly inspections, functionality tests. And it goes right in hand with the past tools for companies version. So there's versions of this that give different access to you guys as service providers versus as companies, and allows you guys to work together online in this single platform to deliver compliance results. And we'll get into the details. I just wanted to set up that product. Second of all, I want you to understand that we have partnered with Insite360 to deliver the past tools platform to the market. We've developed a pretty good relationship. It's been about 2 years now we've been working together, and we're just now starting to really take off on our opportunities. So like I said, again, past tools for service providers is for ASCs and service companies. Past tools for companies is for retailers and people that actually own and manage their own compliance pieces. They are a platform, two sides of one platform. And we deliver this all through Insite360. They're our partner, and we go to market with them. So that's why we're here together today. I have several members of the Insite360 team here. If you guys go to the question and answer part of this webinar, all those questions are going to be collected, and they're going to be shared with the Insight team, and we're going to get you answers after the meeting, after this webinar. So make sure you utilize that question and answer area. We're going to try to make sure that all goes through there and all those answers get delivered. So let's kind of move forward. What is past tools for service providers? Well, it's a single platform that allows a service provider to manage all aspects of a company's compliance in terms of the services they offer. It has mobile inspection tools. It has scheduling and dispatch capabilities. We have action item and work order management that comes out of it. So during an inspection, When you find a deficiency, it'll create an action item. And then those action items can be put into work orders, and those work orders can be followed up on to fix the deficiency. The tool has a bunch of communication and collaboration tools. Makes it really easy to communicate internally with your internal teams and externally with your clients. There's a big asset management part of our system, and that's a really important thing to go over, and we'll hit it in detail, but our regulations are driven from federal rules, state rules, sometimes even county specific rules, but they're all specific to the type of assets that you have on. Here's an example: is a steel tank versus a double-walled interstitially monitored tank. There's just different release detection rules. There's cathodic protection rules that get added onto that steel tank. So assets drive what segment of the regulation we are working with. And then of course we have all kinds of dashboards and reporting tools throughout the system to help bubble up information and make sure that you're fulfilling inspections on the right cadence, those action items are taken care of, documents and paperwork are being notated, and then of course being able to pull out specific information on like average times of inspections and other quality checks that you can put in to make sure that you're running your service as efficiently as possible. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the first part, the mobile or the asset management part. Really wanted to go over this. I lead with this part just because, like I said, everything in compliance is basically driven off the assets that you have in the ground. Past Tools has a really robust asset management aspect of it. And it's not just a glorified repository storing information. It actually drives the compliance engine within Pass, allowing it to bubble up information based off of the assets. It allows you to do a site-specific inspection. So when you use our mobile tools and you get there, it understands you have 6 dispensers. It understands that you have 3 tanks. It understands that those tanks are either double walled or single walled or whatever have you. And it makes that inspection specific based off the equipment. It also does quite a few more things like generating state specific paperwork and documentation. It streamlines that service for the field technician out doing the inspection, making sure that he's not needing to answer a bunch of questions that aren't relevant to the actual place he's located at. So it's just not a PDF that you're filling out. There's actually intelligence behind it. It allows you to track really cool information. And let's just jump in and take a look at it real fast. I'm going to bring up my browser here. This is a dashboard view. I'm going to jump into a facility that the service provider has. I'm going to use store 48 real fast because it's the store that I use the most often. And you'll have to remember, this is demo data. So if you see a discrepancy, it's just because we demo this a lot and we click on some buttons. I tried to clean it up before, but and I think it's pretty clean. But if you see a discrepancy, that's just because this is demo data. As soon as I come to the store's dashboard, I'm able to look at the equipment that I have on site. This is just a real fast overview. I have a button that I can click to jump into the equipment, or I can jump into my navigation windows up at the top. It brings up my equipment in a really efficient and easy way to read. It notifies me in red if I'm missing any pertinent information that I need to have about that tank or that dispenser or monitoring equipment. When I click into that equipment, you'll notice that I have just a plethora of information. Now, some of this is required, some of it's not. I know that when we get into a facility, sometimes we have no idea how old those tanks are, who put them in, or there's just not that information. Now that's slowly starting to go away as we replace tanks, but it's going to be a long process. So there's some things that's required, some things that aren't. We have a location for documents. These documents can store tank charts, warranty information, anything that you want to attach to this in the asset area for your clients or as you're keeping track of what you do at a facility. We have piping, spill buckets. These are called subcategories. It gives us the information of the auxiliary equipment that attaches to the tank. And then something that's really fun is we also do action item trend reports. So all throughout the site, you'll see little nice reports that can pop up that, let's say you have this equipment over time, over a year, you can go back and see specifically what issues you've had with it. And then when it comes time to upgrade or suggest upgrades to your clients, you have pretty good information to go on at your fingertips to have those discussions. I'm going to roll back out and kind of show you the difference with the dispensers. Same idea. We're able to put more information in, a plethora of information, hold pictures over time. And like I said, all of this drives a compliance piece. So if I log in and go to edit this, you'll notice that I have things that are blue here. I have things that are gray. If it's grayed out, it's not required. Like we might not have the serial number, or might be too old of a dispenser. But you can go in here and you can see the stuff that definitely you can answer. And if it's in blue, we need those answers because it'll drive a compliance point within our system and help you manage that piece for your client. So that's the idea behind asset management. There's a lot to it. There's multiple systems that you can add. So let's say you're at a site that has an AST and a UST. You can create separate systems underneath the profile. Real fast. You can also retire systems and equipment. So let's say it's time to upgrade for EMV on the dispensers. We can retire the old dispensers, maintain all the historical data behind it, and add the new dispensers and just keep on going with those compliance pieces. So that's the idea behind the asset management system. And we're going to jump back into our display, our piece here. One of the things I do want to bring out though is one of the side effects of having this asset management part in our system is that a lot of our service providers out there in the field, when they go to a site, they have a really good place to go to load their trucks. They can look at what kind of equipment to make sure that their trucks have the proper pieces. And we've been told a lot that this brings down those costly repeat trips and visits, just because we might not have, we might have packed the wrong piece in our truck when we got out there. So that's asset management. Like I said, it drives a lot of compliance pieces. And one of the main compliance pieces it does drive is our mobile inspection tool. Now, there's a lot of companies out there that are trying to do mobile inspection tools, and they have glorified PDF filler outers for you. That's fantastic. We do have a PDF filler outer, so we have that ability, but we also have these asset-driven inspections that we were just talking about. These asset-driven inspections, fantastic for completing the entire compliance loop from start to finish. So finding the deficiency, notating it, automatically generating it onto a state form, following up with the action item, completing the action item, and then that information coming back systematically to the original inspection you found it at, and closing the loop. So you can show a regulator, hey, we found this at inspection 1, or we fixed it on this date, and all that paperwork just kind of stacks up together. Like I said, there's 2 different ways to do a mobile inspection. Now, one of them is with a PDF, one of them is with our inspection tool. So let's jump in and take a look at how this works. And when we get to the PDF aspect of filling out a PDF in our system, there's some really neat things that we want to show you that we've done in our system to kind of make it easier for you. So let's jump into this real fast. Let's see here. Grab my right browser here. And I have a couple inspections. I'm going to come here at this, still I'm at facility 48. Here, sorry guys. Let me close this out so we stop getting notifications from my team. There we go. All right, so we're going to jump in here and take a look at inspections. When I look down here, you'll see that I have different inspections that are on, that are ready. We follow tentative, scheduled, in progress. There's a quality control check that steps in the workflow, and we'll explain how that works. But essentially, it can send it back to the corporate office. When a field technician completes it, it sends it back, notifies the corporate office, hey, this is ready to be sent to the client, please review it. And then after somebody reviews it, they hit finish, it goes to the client automatically. But let's just jump into one of these inspections. I'm going to jump into this in progress inspection right here. This is an inspection page. Our system, our inspection tool is completely mobile responsive. It is cloud-based and it does run as a web app. So there's no you don't have to download special software. It'll work on all of your devices. We even have somebody that went out and did it on an old BlackBerry device, but I wouldn't suggest that, but it does run on all devices. If you have a modern browser on your device, it's no problem. I'm going to go ahead and cheat and show you guys a look of the system when it's on a tablet. All of our buttons fold up, completely responsive. And then also, if I'm on a phone, it still responds in the same way. So I have the ability here to go out of my phone and conduct this inspection. We pull in weather data automatically. We give you a status of where it's at, and some details. We give you location details with a map or connection to your favorite GPS app so you can get there on time and be okay. And then also we give you a map of the location using Google Maps. We'll get into this a little bit, but everywhere in the system, there's a place to comment, and those comments can be internally or external, but I'll explain that later. I'm going to go ahead and drag this back out to show you the full size. Just remember that it is mobile responsive. When I come in, I start getting asked questions. Now, these questions are based off of RP 900. If you have a state that has came in and created their own monthly inspection form or annual inspection form, and it's different from the RP 900, we default to the state's rules, just because that's what the state's looking for. It's pretty simple, easy, makes it easy for you to know what you're doing, for your technician to know what they're doing in the field. The other thing I want to stress is you'll notice that all of our buttons are big. So even if I'm in a mobile, the mobile view, all of our buttons are large enough to be pressed that you don't have to hunt around and repress and repress. And the way that it's been set up is it doesn't require a lot of typing or texting or any other piece to fulfill creating an action item. Literally, if I want an action item, let's say the ATG wasn't powered on, I hit no, you'll notice that it will generate an action item already. And we'll show you where those, at the end, it puts a list of the action items or deficiencies that are found. If I, during this, let's say if I'm not using our fantastic integration with Insite360 visibility product and the new product they're about to release, we ask for you to print out the tapes during release detection and take a picture of them. But if your client is using Insite360 visibility, we do have a really neat integration that kind of automates all this communication with the tank gauge right into the inspection and the inspection results. What's really fun about our inspection is it's linear, but it's also relative. And what that means is it will take you step by step through an inspection, but you also have the ability to jump around. So let's say I'm setting at a dispenser. I'm looking at, I just did an dispenser inspection for dispenser 3-4. I'm able to jump to dispenser 5-6 without any issue. So just so you know, it is linear. And then as soon as it's done, as soon as you have a sign off, there is a sign off part of this inspection. It will notify you if you missed anything. Now, I don't want to take you line for line of all the inspections questions that you are asked, but know that it is, like I said, it's based off the RP 900, or if there is a state requirement, state specific form, we base it off of that form. But it'll jump down and say, hey, you missed anything. And if I did miss anything, I have a direct deep link to take me right back to answer that question. So I'll click on hoses and nozzles, and it lets me know what I missed, and I can go back in and start answering those questions. And you'll notice that we don't save the data at the end of the inspection. That gives an opportunity for that data to be lost. And a lot of our competitors do that at the end of the inspection. They try to take everything, bubble it up, and then send it to the server. every time you click on something, we're communicating. That way, if you were to lose connectivity, drop your phone and it breaks, drop your tablet and it breaks, everything that you've done so far has been saved. And you can always notate that, knowing that it turns green and it gives you a check mark. You also know at each site, you have the ability to manage the piece of equipment, jump back into the asset management part, create an action item, or view the equipment details. That way, if you have a question, well, wait a minute, does this dispenser or this piece of equipment have this asset attached to it? So I'm going to go ahead and jump back down to the finish. When we're done, we have the ability for you to sign off, add notes, and then review everything that you found, the action items that you have found during that inspection. And as soon as I hit complete, it'll create a completed inspection report. Now, I grabbed one of those reports. This is I took the title page off. There is a title page that has your logo and branding, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because you can custom brand this to be your service provider logo in your system. But you'll notice that this filled out the 30-day inspection form there for Alabama automatically. And this inspection form, nobody makes an inspection form that's easy. Every state kind of does it differently. So we have the ability to iterate over months on the same form, like this one is requiring. Instead of having 12 separate forms, it'll iterate over the same form every month, and just kind of keep that together. Also, if there's any descriptions or repairs or stuff, we'll fill this information out. We can also put the action items at the end on a separate page that helps you navigate when they've been concluded. Like I said, trying to close that loop on the inspection. So that's one inspection, and we use this type of inspection for the monthly or annual or quarterly, depending on the cadence in your state, inspection, visual walkthrough inspection. There's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around in our industry from state to state, and I try to separate that terminology. A walkthrough inspection is the visual, looking visually at your site. And then I call a functionality test is when you conduct an inspection that is proving that a piece of equipment is functioning within the parameters in which it was supposed to do. So like a tank tightness test would be a functionality test, and terminology specific to this, our past tool system. Another one would be like the 30-day spill bucket, or not, sorry, 30-day, the 3-year spill bucket inspection. And depending on your state, there's different rules that guide these things. PASS has that information in the system. So whatever that functionality test, but let's jump in and take a look at how we handle functionality tests and some of the magic in our system. So let me jump in. There's an RP1200 inspection. Let me go ahead and just update this one, and we'll jump into this one right here. So in a state that doesn't have its own paperwork for functionality tests, we resolve back to the RP900 forms. We also can do some custom forms for your company. So let's say you have a form specific to your company that you use and that has been approved by the state. We can utilize some of those forms. That's communication that you have with us, but we can get those in here. This brings up a really neat PDF filler outer. Now, here's another separation between what PASS does to bring intelligence and accessibility to you. Is we already know what a lot of these form names are, and we've built the intelligence into the system to auto fill out some of these fields within a form to prevent your technician from needing to do that on the fly. We also know a little bit about each field. So if they answer yes or no, instead of it just being static on a PDF, we actually save that data granularly so we can later inspect it and go back and look at how many fails, how many passes, and kind of pull some really neat information out of a static PDF form. Pretty simple. These are magic fields. They fill out automatically as they go through. They can answer. Let's say they have more than 6 sumps. If they need another page, they just click, I need another page. There's some really cool things around accessibility. So if I want to see this in full screen, I can click full screen, and it removes all the wrapping around the PDF and gives you more work area. some cool tools to allow you to navigate this PDF in a little easier manner. And then when I'm done, it takes me to a very similar page with the sign off, inspection notes, work orders, pass and fail, and those pieces. That bubbles back up, and that's a really cool thing, that you have the ability to fill out these forms digitally, and then work all the workflows behind that. So, and we'll get into that. First is dispatching this to a technician, the technician showing up on site, being able to pull this up on his list, being able to fill this out on site, having it come back for a quality control check back at the office if you choose to do that. And then once it's been approved, it automatically being sent to your client through your client's portal that you can give them access to. Okay, so that's a real neat thing. You can also create an ad hoc action item at the end of the inspection. So that's Past Tools for service, or Past Tools mobile inspection piece. I'm going to keep moving forward here. We just talked about the automatically generated resources. You saw the resource in Alabama. We're going through all the time and updating these resources and making sure they're available. It helps you guys not need to hunt down those forms and know what you need. You can lean on Pass's expertise to get you there. We like it to be a two-way conversation because you guys are the boots on the ground when you use our system. So if you have information about a form, or let's say a state changes something without notifying everybody and you guys find out about it, we like to have that two-way conversation, but we become your partner in making sure that we have the most up-to-date forms in the system and that you're using the right one that the state wants to see. And the fact that it gets automatically generated through our system, so you don't have to handle that paperwork. That's right now in the current times, not having to handle paperwork and being able to automatically transmit all this to our client easily is it's key. So let's move on. After an inspection, we find action item and work order management pieces. This is a really neat thing on closing the loop once you find deficiencies. So you go out and you conduct inspections, then it comes times for the consulting piece with your client. The client goes, okay, you did this inspection, what did you find? Well, we have a really slick user interface that they have access to see. It has communication on it, so you guys can discuss things. The communication is really cool on how it works. The action items are accompanied with pictures, so it's easy to communicate remotely with this client. And then once the client says, okay, I want to do something about this, you have the ability to create work orders in the system and follow workflows to get those work orders approved, and then also get your technician dispatched to the site to execute that work order. So it's a really neat, easy way to manage that. Once the action item has been closed, it puts it back on the inspection to show the regulator that not only did we find this, this is the action that we took to conclude that action item or that piece, that deficiency. So let me jump back into Past Tools real fast. Let's roll out to Store 48 here again. And let's just take a look at the action items that have been found. As I go through this, you'll notice that I have a list of action items. Now this is all demo data, so you're seeing red. Everywhere in our system, you'll see red, yellow, or green. If it's green, it's been handled, it's been taken care of, it's been resolved, it's okay. If it's yellow, that means that, hey, you have an issue, it was just found, we need to look at it. It might not have the weight or severity of something else. And if it's red, that means that you have to, you definitely have to act upon it right away. And we know, just when we get into notifications, we notify you of this. We let you know, instead of you needing to come into our system and dig in, you're able to see and be notified of any deficiencies that are outstanding to allow you to be as efficient as you can in handling the services with your company. A great thing that we found with our existing service provider is this means more money. They're able to come back and fix issues that they've found. The client's happy because it's being fixed, and you guys would be happy because it's an upsell on your service. You're able to sell parts or services on top of that to fix this. But let's jump in just to this spill bucket containment. Like I said, demo data. So the photo's missing. If they had taken a photo, which we do require is photo taking, that photo would be here. There's a place to communicate. Any additional documents that need to go on this particular piece can be uploaded in any pictures. You'll notice that this particular action item lives on a work order already, so it can't be edited. Maybe we'll find a different one here. Let's see. Yeah, this is the same thing. It's on a work order, so we can't edit it, but it's already been looked at. You'll notice right here that this is occurrences. What we do with action items is instead of creating an action item each time we find this month over month, we create one action item and then we start logging occurrences. That way you can look at your equipment and understand how many times you've had this problem, or how many months this has been going on, or how many times in each inspections you've marked this as a deficiency. So that's the idea behind action items. They all relate back to an inspection. They all relate back to somebody who found them. So that's the actual individual that found it, when it was open and when it was closed. So we're able to jump in here and really take a look at our action items and resolve those for our clients, upsell our services. So this is a great part. And it also, like I said, the client's happy because it closes that loop on their inspection for the regulator. Now, what work orders are is they're grouping of action items so you can handle them. So what happens is you find action items, a lot of the times you send a technician out to fix those action items. And the way that we do it is we group those action items into a work order. You have the ability to draft the work order. This is adding those action items to it. You can upload a quote from your quoting system. You can even come in here and give a estimated amount. And then you go ahead and choose an approval. And I hit submit to approve. And what it does is it sends out an email to your client, and it has a whole workflow around it that allows your client to digitally approve work orders. So the client got this email, he was able to step in and approve it. I'm going to jump into an approved one. So here's a submitted. Once it's been submitted, we give you information all the way. As soon as it gets submitted, it gets approved. So here's an actual approved email. There's the workflow for that. Once it gets to that point, it becomes dispatched, and that's where you can dispatch it into one of the users into past that is able to go out and handle this dispatch work order. Notification coming out to your client, hey, this was a dispatch. We plan on being there on this date to fix it. And then once it's been completed, that's when it becomes resolved, and you have resolved work orders that resolved all the action items. So there's a really cool workflow around action item management and then work order management. It just becomes a really cohesive, easy to use piece for you and your client. So I'm going to jump now back into the idea behind scheduling and dispatch. So as a service provider, obviously getting to sites are very important, tracking when you're going to get there, and then making sure that you give your technician the information that they need. PASS has a really cool tools that allow you to schedule and dispatch those people. Let me jump back into the system real fast. We're going to jump into the top bar here, and these are tools across your entire network. So if I want to look at all the companies I service, all the facilities, all the action items across my network, all the work orders across my network, and then I have my schedule piece and my user piece. I'm going to jump into the scheduler. It gives you a calendar. This calendar has some really cool aspects about it. Like there's, you can add it to your Outlook calendar. So can your users. When we get into user roles, everything's specific to the user that's using it. So we have different user roles that allow you to view this. So this is a big view. When I click on it, I get detailed information. That was a work order. This is a inspection that comes up. I'm at store 48. So our 184, I'm sorry, but you can see that this has been scheduled and who the person is. If I need to change it real fast, I have the ability to change it to somebody else on my team. And I can change the inspection times. It gives you fast links to your facilities and inspections also. But here's a fun part is scheduling sometimes with the amount of services that you have is hard to scale. We have a system to help you manage that. So in here, let's say you had 20 inspectors out in the field or technicians out in the field. This is a drag and drop way for you to start moving things around. So I can grab this RP 1200, give it to this guy, throw it on here. It automatically changes to Mark, but I go, wait a minute, he can't get there. I'm going to send Sherlock at 4. I can jump in here and edit and send Sherlock at 4. And it's a drag and drop approach. If I click on anything, it brings up the details. This is a pretty typical dispatching view that you would see. But we have the ability for dispatch. Again, everything's color coded, so everything that's blue is scheduled. We have a tentative that allows you to mark it down on the calendar, but it's tentative because of other commitments you might have. You're not wanting to commit to scheduling it exactly on that date, but you want to track that time. We have review, completed, and overdue colors to let you know. So if it was red, you would know that, hey, I'm overdue on this inspection. I need to get there. We also have a really neat map view. Now, this is a demo, and since we're demoing it, we're using false addresses, which puts us out in the middle of the ocean with the false addresses. But what it does is it does track your technicians and where they're at, and it'll put a button up saying, hey, this is my technician, he's on site. You can click on it, you can zoom in and make sure he's there. So we do have some geo tagging information in the system that allows you to, or geo fencing information in the system to allow you to assure that your technician is on site while filling out this documentation. Like I said, though, the reason it's not showing is because all of our addresses in the demo are false addresses generated automatically by our system. So that's the idea behind dispatch and scheduling. It's pretty robust. It's neat. We're always working at making it better. I know we have some really cool ideas coming out soon with it that'll increase its capabilities. So it's an incredible piece that we have a lot of companies that really like. And a lot of companies start out, just to let you know, they start out with their own dispatch software and they try to manage between the two. We do have the ability to do some integrations, but they end up here because this is so easy to use and slick, and it works with all the workflows inside the system that helps with compliance. Now I'm going to jump into the communications and collaboration tools. So part of the issue that you need to make sure that you take care of is communicating effectively with your client and the people in the field. Documenting that communication so we know what's going on, and we're keeping track. So I'm going to jump into the system a little bit and show you some places that happens. I'm going to start on your dashboard and show you on the dashboard. You have a news feed right here for the communications piece. This is all the communications across your whole network. So when I click on this, you'll notice that we have communications here. We're able to add to it. As soon as I click on here, you'll notice that I have a really robust communication tool with different, you can bold, you can italicize, you can create bullet points. You can upload PDFs and images that might help you. So let's say you're trying to resolve something. It records it specific to the item that you're on. So right now we're looking at an inspection. But you'll see this tool throughout the system, and it allows you to keep that communication specific to the item that you're talking about. There's a public and a private comment mode. Private is only internal with your company. Public allows your clients to see what you're talking about. And then of course it's highlighted. So if it's a private comment, we'll let you know it's private. Your client can see it. If it's not, then they're able to see that. Also, you can tag, so I can go private and then include one person. So like say I want to include Sherlock Holmes to make sure he's tagged on that, to notify him. So we can jump back and I can show you that even in the action items, there's areas like that you can communicate within paperwork. Let's find a facility that has that real fast. But within paperwork, you have the ability to still communicate that. let's jump into paperwork. Here's some paperwork right here. So this monitoring certificate, you have a communication piece to talk about that. You're really able to manage all those pieces efficiently, effectively. And here's one of the really cool parts about that is that sends out an email to your client. If your client replies to that email, they have the ability to, the system has the ability to take that client's email and bring it right into that commenting thread. If they attach something to that email, it pulls that attachment into that commenting thread too. So even though they did it by email, responded by email, it is still bubbling up under the right place in the system. So we tried to put intelligence behind it. We tried to make it very easy to use, and it looks very simple, but it is very complex. But that's the goal of a UI, is to feel simple and execute upon complex processes. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the next thing. Have it your way. That's what we want. We want your client to feel at home when they log into your portal. We're able to customize the branding, and that becomes a lot of fun. So you'll notice at the top, this says USA Service Co. This is a demo service company. It's not real, but we throw your logos in here. When your client logs in, they see your images, your logos. It helps build retention with you and your client. Any paperwork that's produced has a title page that has your logo on it. The emails that go out, so if you'll look at this email, you'll notice it has that logo on it. It will have your logos on it. We brand it that way on purposely, so your clients or customer are comfortable with what you do. We also have the ability for you to choose your own support email. So PASS acts like a tier 2 support, but your client comes to you first for issues. Now, obviously, if it's a technical issue, we need to handle it. PASS needs to handle it, but it becomes a business-to-business communication. And that way your client's coming straight to you to communicate issues or problems. And most of the time, it's an issue with a compliance piece. It's not a software issue. Like I said, if it is a software issue, you bubble it up to us. 9 times out of 10, if there's a software issue, it'll trigger a error to us, and we will fix it before, we fix it immediately. We get those error reports on, we fix those errors. But we have the ability for you to not only brand, but send that support to your company. That way you're controlling your client's information that you're working with. So that's the idea behind customizable branding and white labeling. The only part that you'll see Insite360 or PASS on the software is at the bottom. It'll say powered by PASS tools. Also, I want to bring up at the bottom, we have policies, change logs, and our service status. So when we're up, when the software is up. If it does have a problem, let's say you're having an issue, we make sure that we notify you of uptimes and any problems, so you can see that we had a major outage that lasted for 36 minutes, and it was based off of Heroku a while ago. So we make sure we give you that information so you know what's going on with our system. It's not just a here's the software, good luck. You become PASS's partner, and we help every chance we can. Now I want to talk about user roles. So this is one of the big parts about PASS that makes it neat, is we have different user roles depending on what the user's either capabilities are or needs or accesses to the system. A user role would be what we call a director admin. That would be an administrator of the service provider. We also have inspectors or technician. And what we do is the UI will put the information that's pertinent. So like an inspector or a technician, he's only able to see what's been assigned to him through the scheduler. It just really ramps down the amount of information he has to process, and it gets him right to the executables that he has to worry about. We also have a director admin that allows you to work across your entire network and see everything. And then there's some steps in between there. We have user accounts for your clients, so your clients can log in. Now, your client, when they log in, it's a read-only login. They don't have the rights or the access to really manage anything because you're doing these things for them. You're doing a tank tightness test and sending them the results, or a monthly inspection. If they want to manage their own compliance, they have to purchase past tools for companies, and there's other features in there specific to a company. And it also allows those integrations we talked about with Insite360's visibility and other Insite360 software that's out there that your client might be using. So there is 2 versions. The user account for a company that you give them would be a read-only version. Now you have a company user, you have a facility user, you have a facility group user or a regional user that you can give your clients. And they have the ability to, like I said, just log in and see the specific information. So facility user, read only, he would only be able to look at that single facility, where a company might be able to look across his whole network, and grab, hold down, print out documents, and get notifications, etc. So there's a lot of user accounts. The only user account I want to show, because we have been going for about an hour now, and I told you guys it would be less than that. I want to get through this and give you guys your day back. I'm going to show you one user account real fast. And that user account is good old Sherlock Holmes here. He's one of the best inspectors in the United States. But he shows up and he gets a list of the things that he's working on. So here's the in-progress inspections. Now, obviously, a technician wouldn't have that many in-progress inspections. This is demo data. But let's say this would stack him up on his current activities that he needs to execute in the order that they were dispatched to him. It also show him upcoming things that's coming in the next 5 days or so. Like I said, you're seeing some discrepancies here just because this is demo data and we played with it, demoed with it. But the idea is this will load him up, and then he's able to just click on, he's ready to do that inspection and start. It's not something, we don't want to clutter him up full of information that he doesn't necessarily need. Whereas the director or the company admin, Mr. Mark here, Mark admin, when he logs in, his dashboard has a lot of information because he's trying to manage multiple technicians, make sure that activities working, things that need to be reviewed, are that quality checks going on, overdue inspections, things that are scheduled. He's kind of looking across the whole network and pulling reports across the entire network. So that's the idea behind what those 2 users are. Now, your client users are very similar. Like I said, they're just read-only accounts, so they're able to download the results and view the results that you've given them. That's a company and a facility level. And then we have a facility group level. So if you have like a regional manager or something, as you onboard your clients. Like I said, if they want to do this themselves, they want to start using past tools or pieces of past tools themselves, they need to purchase the past tools for companies model. And that the way to do that is you start the conversation with past or Insite360, but Insite360 steps in on that part and helps with that sell. So I'm going to go to the last piece here. We just went through a lot of stuff. It took a little bit longer than I wanted to. We're sitting at exactly an hour right now. I appreciate your guys' time, but that's past tools in a nutshell for service providers in a nutshell. We talked about mobile inspection tools. We talked about asset management. We talked about dispatch and scheduling, action item and work order management, communication tools. There's a bunch more reports and niceties, notifications. You can actually manage your notifications and make sure that they're aligned in the way that you want to receive them. If it's either a weekly digest of everything, or if you want a notification fired off every time any action happens within the system, you have the ability to go through and do that. Other niceties in the system would be the reporting tools or what we bubble up via the dashboards and other pieces that we give you. Like I said, this is not a brand new product. It's been out for about 6 years, so it's been battle tested. We've used it in several markets, and we have just around 25 service providers that have been using it for multiple years across the country now. A lot of them are major service providers that work in multiple states. So it has been battle tested. Regulators love it because it gives them concise access. They get the documents they want, and there's no miscommunication on what the regulator is asking for or what the state's requiring versus what's being done. So pass helps with that piece. So that's it. Just wanted to let you know that we are recording this. We are going to send out the question and answers. We're going to give you the ability to sign up. If you look at there right here at the bottom, this is a website. I don't know if it's live yet. I think it's going to be live later today, but if you're interested in having a sales demo in more detail, and talk to the Insite360 team about maybe setting this up, or you guys purchasing it, talk about pricing and numbers, which the pricing is very, very simple on this. It's very easy, and we think it's very, very fair. But if you want to, you just sign up at this URL. Make sure that you let us know that you're interested in the sales demo, and somebody from my team or Insite360's team will reach out to you, and we'll start that process. Thank you very much for attending. We appreciate your time. Oh yeah, just let you know that first letter, it's not an I, it's an L. It's an l.passtesting.com/Insite360. So thank you. We appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming. I know that the current situation here in the United States it's different than it's ever been. I know a lot of you guys are working from home and still getting out in the field, and I applaud you. Thank you for continuing to work during this pandemic. If there's any questions, let us know, and have a great day. Thank you very much.